Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Today I will discuss about genetics. This is the third and the last lesson of this topic. If you haven't watched the previous lessons, then I will share the link in the description box. You can go and watch those videos. So let's start the lesson. In my previous video, I have already told you that the basic principles of genetics were discovered by Gregor John Mendel for the first time. And Mendel was an Austrian monk. He conducted various breeding experiments on garden pea, the Pisum sativum, just out of the sheer interest. Later on, his findings became a milestone in biology. Now, why did Mendel select the garden pea for his experiments? There are three reasons. First is, many varieties are available, that too in alternative forms of a character. And these varieties are available in pure forms. That means these plants produce same type of plants generation after generation. And these plants are normally self-pollinated. But when the reproductive parts of the flower, that is male part, the stamens, and the female part, that is carpels, when these reproductive parts of the flower are removed, then these plants can be cross-pollinated artificially. For all these three reasons, Mendel selected the garden pea plant for his experiments. Okay. Now, he found 7 contrasting characters while doing his experiments. First is the flower color. For this particular character, there are 2 forms. Purple, which is the dominant, and white, which is the recessive trait. For seed color, yellow is dominant and green is recessive. For seed shape, round is dominant, wrinkled is recessive. For pod color, green is dominant, yellow is recessive. Don't get confused between seed color and pod color. For seed color, yellow is dominant, whereas for pod color, yellow is recessive. Okay. Next is pod shape. Inflated is dominant, constricted is recessive. For flower position, axial is dominant, terminal is recessive. For plant height, tall is the dominant character and dwarf is the recessive character. Okay. Now there are 2 types of crosses. One is monohybrid cross. Mono means one. Here only one feature is considered at a time. Either the seed shape or the seed color or the pod shape. Okay. And dihybrid cross, di means 2. Here 2 features are considered altogether at a time. Okay. Let's see one example of monohybrid cross where only one feature is considered. Here, pure tall tea plants. Pure means homozygous. Here, homozygous tall plants are crossed with pure dwarf plants. Again, homozygous dwarf plants. Tall is dominant character, dominant trait, and dwarf is the recessive trait. So let's see the cross. First, we have to consider the parents. Female and then the male. Tall crossed with dwarf. The gametes that will be formed, capital T, small t, right? Let's see the F1 generation. We have to draw the checkerboard. I have already taught you how to draw checkerboard. Here we are finding out the F1 generation, the first generation of the offspring. Female, male. Capital T, small t. Multiply them. Always the dominant allele will be at the first and then the recessive allele. All the 4 offsprings are tall due to the presence of the capital T because it will suppress the expression of the small t. So all the 4 offsprings are tall. Okay. Now we will see when this F1 generation offsprings are crossed with each other, then what will happen? That means we will find the F2 generation. In case of F2 generation, again we have to draw a checkerboard, right? F2 generation, one female, another one male. Capital T, small t, capital T, small t. These are the gametes. Again multiply them. Now we will see that out of the 4 offsprings, 3 are tall due to the presence of the capital T in them. But this particular offspring, both the small t are present. That means this particular offspring is dwarf. Clear? So out of the 4 offsprings, 3 are tall, 1 is dwarf. So in F2 generation, these are the offsprings. Okay. Now we will find the phenotypic ratio. What is this? See, tall is to dwarf. How many of them are tall? 3 are tall. Okay, 3 are tall. So 3 and 1 is dwarf. 3:1 is the phenotypic ratio. Clear? Next we will find the genotypic ratio. Genotypic ratio. See here. First is the homozygous tall is to heterozygous tall is to homozygous dwarf. These are the 3 categories. Homozygous tall. Only 1. So 1 is to heterozygous tall. These are the 2 heterozygous tall. So 2 is to homozygous dwarf. Only 1 is present. 1. So in case of the monohybrid cross, the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1 for F2 generation, and the phenotypic ratio is 3:1 for F2 generation. Clear? This is for monohybrid cross. Now move to an example of dihybrid cross, where the plants with round yellow seeds, here the seed color and seed shape, both the characters have been selected at a time. Okay. These 2 are dominant trait and these 2 are recessive trait. So let's see. See, again we have to consider the parents, female, male. Capital R is round for round, as this is the dominant one. Small r is for, next is capital Y is yellow. This is also dominant. Small y is for green. And small r is for wrinkled. Okay. Clear? Now start the cross. Female, male. Capital R, capital R, capital Y, small r, small r, small y, small y. What are the gametes from these 2? Capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. This is the only combination that can be formed. The combination is capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. This particular is the combination for F1 generation, right? Now when F1 generation offsprings are crossed with each other, that means when this is the case, when capital R, small r, capital Y, small y is crossed with again capital R, small r, capital Y, small y, we will find the F2 generation. Then what will happen? See, then this is the case. This is the case where if we see the phenotypic ratio, okay, see, out of the 16 offsprings in total, these are the offsprings which forms a triangle. These are the 9 offsprings who are formed as round yellow. They are round yellow. And out of the 16 offsprings, there are 3 round green. 3 round green. Right? 9:3:2. Then there are 3 wrinkled yellow. See? Wrinkled yellow. 9:3:2. 3:2. Only one offspring is there who is wrinkled green. So, the phenotypic ratio for the F2 generation in dihybrid cross is 9:3:3:1. This is the phenotypic ratio for the F2 generation in case of dihybrid cross, and the genotypic ratio is very complex. It is not in the syllabus. Okay,
Clear? So I think the monohybrid and the dihybrid cross is clear to you all now. So this is the conclusion. In case of monohybrid cross in F2 generation, the phenotypic ratio is 3:1 and genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. Phenotypic ratio is 3:1 and genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. In case of dihybrid cross in F2 generation, it is the phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1, whereas genotypic ratio is very complex. It is not in the syllabus. Clear? Now, there are certain laws, Mendel's laws of inheritance. First is the law of dominance. Here it has been said that out of a pair of contrasting characters, that means out of a pair of characters that are present together, what will happen? Only one will be able to express itself. That means that will be the dominant character. The one who will express itself, that is the dominant, which will suppress the other character present in the pair. That means other one will be the recessive. Clear? And in case of law of segregation, it is said the two members of a pair of factors separate during the formation of gametes. Okay? The two members out of a pair of factors, the two members, they will separate during the formation of gametes. They will not blend, but they will just segregate or separate into different gametes. They will not blend. Okay? Like for example, in case of this, like T, capital T, small t, they will not blend together. They will segregate, capital T and small t. They will separate as two gametes. Clear? Next law is law of independent assortment. When there are two pairs of contrasting characters, then what will happen? The distribution of the members of one pair into the gamete is independent of the distribution of the other pair. So the distribution of one pair of the character is not at all dependent upon the distribution of another pair. They will get distributed into the gamete in their own way. They are not dependent on each other. Clear? Now, what is the application of Mendel's law or the laws? Now, all these important informations, they can be used for both plant and animal breeders for producing better breeds. Not only better breeds, but new types of plants can be formed. New types of plants can be formed with very new combinations, and those plants are very much useful. Okay, so not only the better, but both better plus new breeds will be formed of plants and animals. Clear? Now we will know what is mutation. Mutation is a sudden change. Mutation is a sudden change, and this change can be in one or more genes, or in the number of the chromosome, or in the structure of chromosome. So this change can be either on genes, or in the number of chromosome, or in the structure of chromosome. Clear? This sudden change we will call it as mutation. Now let's take the example of mutation. One is the sickle cell anemia. It is a blood disease that is caused by a gene mutation, and the mutation causes the change in the DNA that results in the production of sickle-shaped RBCs. Generally RBCs are disc-shaped, but here the RBCs become sickle-shaped, half-moon-like structure. Okay, this is a blood disease that is caused due to a gene mutation. A mutation occurs, a sudden change occurs in a gene. Okay. Next is the radioactive radiations. These radiations can alter the gene structure and also alter the effect of the genes, that too in generation after generation. One very good example is the Hiroshima Nagasaki that occurred during World War II in Japan in 1945, that had led to a number of deformities in the body of the plants and animals which are still persisting. Okay, so these are the two examples of mutations. Clear? So I think I have made myself clear, and this particular topic is absolutely clear to you all. So this is all for this lesson. Now I will upload the new videos very soon. Till then, stay tuned to my channel, and if you think my videos are helpful and informative, then please subscribe my channel, and don't forget to like and share my videos. Thank you for watching the videos.